426 bar gun and is $5,000.
From masterminds behind international drug rings and prison escapes to a crypto queen who vanished with billions, here are 12 of the most wanted women in the world caught on camera for the first time. Christy Amberg. Christy Amberg, an Estonian national, became notorious amongst law enforcement agencies in various countries for her involvement in drug trafficking. Between July and September 2017, she orchestrated a network that regularly acquired and distributed narcotics, including amphetamines, cocaine, and GHB in extremely large quantities. Her operation handled 10 to 15 G of amphetamines every 2 days, 1 to 10 G of cocaine weekly, and 50 mL of GHB each week. In May 2018, an Estonian court sentenced Amber to 1 year and 9 months in prison for her crimes. However, the court suspended this sentence on the condition that she refrained from any criminal activity for 3 years and maintained regular contact with her probation officer. She was also required to have a fixed residential address and needed permission to travel abroad or be away from her residence for more than 15 days. Unfortunately, Amberg violated these conditions, and authorities had to declare her a fugitive. In October 2019, Europol included Christy Amberg in their campaign against Europe's most wanted female criminals. They started this initiative to raise public awareness and solicit assistance in locating and apprehending these individuals. As of now, Christy Amberg remains at large, and her current whereabouts are unknown. Authorities have no choice but to continue their efforts to locate and apprehend her to ensure she serves her sentence. Elena Puzir. Elena Puzirevich is one of the most dangerous women in the world, known to be involved in human trafficking and sexual exploitation in Spain during the mid-2000s. Between 2007 and 2008, she managed a brothel in Cáceres, where she forced 9 young Russian women into prostitution. Many of these women were deceived about the nature of the work they would be doing in Spain and were even coerced into paying off debts they supposedly owed for their travel expenses. Puzi would sometimes meet the women at Barajas airport and transport them directly to the brothel. In one instance, a woman attempted to escape by jumping out of a window, which eventually resulted in her hospitalization. She has also been named in the 2019 Crime Has No Gender campaign. However, she remains at large. And over the past couple of years, Puzirevich has done a great job of being elusive and escaping authorities without a single trace. Even if you tried searching Elena Puzirevich's name on Google, you'd get almost nothing. No detailed articles, no interviews, no backstory, just a few mentions on Europol or maybe a random news site. She refused to grant any interviews while on trial and isn't on any social media platform. Whether she's dead or alive, no one knows. Adalet Shakir Gazeva. Adalet Shakir Gazva, originally from Kyrgyzstan, is wanted for her role in a series of high-level thefts that took place across Malta in 2014. At the time, she was part of a gang that included at least 4 men. Together, they carried out multiple burglaries in luxury neighborhoods and homes in well-known areas like Sliema, St. Julian's, and St. Paul's Bay. And, as a matter of fact, their method was fast and strategic. They broke into homes while the residents were away and stole small but high-value items, especially jewelry and cash. According to reports, the gang operated for months, and the total value of what they stole added up to tens of thousands of euros. However, in 2015, Shakir Gazva and her group were finally arrested. She was charged with multiple counts of aggravated theft, conspiracy, and being part of an organized criminal group. During the court process, she was granted bail in 2017 under very strict conditions, including regular check-ins and a requirement to attend all hearings. But in July of that same year, she just disappeared. She failed to show up for a court session, and authorities quickly issued a warrant for her arrest. Since then, she's been on the run. In 2019, Europol added her to their Crime Has No Gender campaign. But despite their efforts, Shakir Gazva has not been found, and her exact location remains unknown. Her case is tough, not just because of the crimes themselves, but because she broke the mold. Female suspects involved in organized burglary rings are rare, and her disappearance mid-trial turned what was already a serious case into an international manhunt. Sarah Barras. Sarah Barras is a British woman who became popular, but for the wrong reasons. She was involved in a horrific crime that would eventually lead her to prison. In May 2019, Sarah, along with her partner Brandon Machine, was convicted of the murder of her 2 children and Tristan. Barras, who was in her 30s at the time of the crime, had a history of mental health struggles, including bipolar disorder, which, according to her, affected her decision-making. However, the lawyers and experts involved in the case noted that her mental health may have indeed played a role in her actions, but it did not excuse the severity of her crime. Barras and her partner attempted to kill all 6 children, but ended up murdering the 2 oldest boys in what authorities described as a premeditated attack. After the murder, they attempted to cover up the crime and presented a false account of events to law enforcement. The crime took place in their family home in Sheffield, where the 2 children lived with Barras and Machine. And contrary to their claims, all the details of the investigation revealed that the mother and her partner had planned the deaths with the intent to end the children's lives. And it got even more sickening when experts found out that their motives were linked to financial and personal struggles. After their arrest, both Barras and Machine were sentenced to life imprisonment. Rosemary West. Rosemary West is a British woman notorious for her involvement in a series of horrific crimes committed alongside her husband, Fred West. Born on November 29, 1953 in the United Kingdom, Rosemary had an extremely troubled childhood. She was raised in a dysfunctional family, and so a day rarely went by where she didn't experience emotional and physical abuse, and in the long run, it played a role in her later life and actions. In the 1970s, Rosemary met Fred West, and the two got into a relationship that became both abusive and deadly. Fred West was a very violent man whose life was full of manipulation, control, and crime. Together, the couple would lure young women into their home and subject them to unspeakable acts of violence. The crimes included kidnapping, sexual assault, and murder. Fred and Rosemary West were said to be responsible for at least 12 murders, though the true number is believed to be higher, and most of their victims were young women. Some were even teenage girls. Rosemary not only participated, but also played a key role in some of the murders and helped Fred to trap, torture, and kill the victims. The West's house in Gloucester, where they lived, became known as the House of Horrors after the crimes were uncovered. Authorities discovered that the couple buried some of their victims in the garden, while others were hidden inside the house. In 1994, Fred West was arrested, but while in police custody, he committed suicide. However, Rosemary was arrested and charged with the murder of several victims. During her trial, it was revealed that she had been involved in the deaths of at least 10 women. She was convicted of 10 different murders and sentenced to life in prison. And since then, Rosemary West has become one of the most infamous female serial killers in British history. Rua Ignatova. One of the most mysterious women and famous names in the world of crime is Dr. Arucia Ignatova, also known as the Missing Crypto Queen. She was born in 1980 in Rus, Bulgaria. When she was just 10 years old, her family moved to Germany, and she spent much of her childhood in a small town called Schramberg. Ruho was smart, really smart. She got her bachelor's degree from the University of Oxford in England, which is one of the top schools in the world. Then she went on to get a PhD in private international law from the University of Constance in Germany in 2005. But things took a dark turn in 2012. That year, she was convicted of fraud in Germany. It had to do with a company she helped buy that mysteriously went bankrupt not long after. Again in 2013, Rua got involved in a shady multi-level marketing scheme called Bitcoin. And just 1 year later, she launched her own crypto company called OneCoin. It promised big returns and looked flashy. But behind the scenes, it was a full-blown scam. By 2019, both Interpol and the FBI were on her trail. Her brother was caught and ended up pleading guilty to fraud and money laundering tied to OneCoin. In 2022, the German police opened a money laundering case against Rua. They were looking into a suspicious transfer of $7.69 million into one of her brother's private accounts back in 2016. That same year, in January, police searched several properties in cities like Frankfurt and Weilburg, hoping to find more clues. By May 2022, Europol had to officially add Rua to its most wanted list. And the next month, the FBI placed her on their 10 most wanted fugitives list. Now, they're offering up to $100,000 for any information that leads to her arrest. After everything came out, OneCoin was exposed as one of the biggest cryptocurrency scams in history. Experts estimate that Rucha walked away with around $4 billion from people all over the world. In China alone, 98 people were prosecuted in connection with the scheme. Now, Rucha Ignatova has been off the radar since 2017, and there have been no clues whatsoever as regards her whereabouts, and that's how she earned the nickname the Missing Crypto Queen. Evelyn Martinez. Now to the case of Evelyn Martinez, who is currently wanted for murder, attempted murder, and unlawful flight to avoid prosecution. Evelyn Martinez was born on December 30th, 1991 in Torrance, California. Now in her 30s, she has been on the run for years and is considered armed and dangerous. She has several noticeable tattoos that could help identify her. The word Socorro is tattooed across her stomach. She also has the word South Law somewhere on her body and the letters LA tattooed on her left arm. Going by these clues, authorities say she could be connected to gang activity in the Los Angeles area. However, they also believe she may be hiding out in Mexico. She has strong ties there and is known to be involved with a gang. The first time her name ever came up, it was in connection with a deadly shooting back in 2009. On December 28th of that year, Evelyn Martinez was driving her boyfriend Steven Aguilar Medina through a neighborhood in Los Angeles that belonged to a rival gang. According to reports, she stopped her van near a house where two people were standing outside. Her boyfriend then got out of the van, shouted a gang-related phrase, and opened fire, shooting multiple times. One of the victims died from the shooting. The other survived, and because Martinez was the one driving the car and helping her boyfriend get in and out of the area, police believe she played a direct role in the crime. She was later charged by the Superior Court of California with murder and attempted murder, and a state warrant was issued for her arrest. Then, on the 3rd of March 2010, a federal arrest warrant was added by the United States District Court in California. Since then, Evelyn Martinez has been on the run and is considered extremely dangerous. Her state records have proven to be dead ends, and the public is advised to report her as soon as she is sighted. Sarah Pender. Sarah Jo Pender was born in 1979 in Indiana. She grew up in a fairly normal home and didn't seem like someone who would end up on the FBI's most wanted list. She was smart, did well in school, and eventually went to college. But her life took a turn in her early 20s.
Do you have hope that you'll leave this prison? Sure, legally.
In the late 1990s, Sarah started dating a man named Richard Hull. He had a rough background and was involved with drugs. The two of them moved into a house in Indianapolis with two roommates, Andrew Cataldi and Trisha Nordman. The roommates were known to be into drugs as well. Then, on October 24, 2000, everything changed. Richard Hull shot and killed both Cataldi and Nordman in the house. Their bodies were later found stuffed inside a dumpster. At first, Richard Hull took the blame for the murders, but soon after, police started to suspect that Sarah had played a bigger role than she claimed. Prosecutors argued that Sarah had convinced Richard to kill their roommates. They said she planned it out, bought the gun, and helped clean up after the murders. In 2002, Sarah was convicted of aiding and abetting the killings and was sentenced to 110 years in prison. But in 2008, while serving time at Rockville Correctional Facility, she escaped.
When I was planning my escape, I planned on doing it by myself, but I needed money and I didn't want to ask my family because I would have to lie to them about what it was for.
A prison guard named Scott Spittler, who had fallen in love with her, helped her break out by smuggling in clothes and driving her away from the prison. Sarah was on the run for over 4 months. She used fake names and even got plastic surgery to change her appearance. The FBI had to add her to their most wanted list and offered a $25,000 reward. She was finally caught in December 2008 in Chicago after someone recognized her from the TV show America's Most Wanted. Since then, Sarah Pender has been back in prison to serve her full sentence. Sharon Carr. Sharon Carr, also known as the Devil's Daughter, was born in Baise in 1979 and moved to the UK as a child. She lived in Kimberley, Surrey, and had quite a troubled childhood. From a young age, Sharon had always shown signs of violent behavior. She often got into fights at school and was known for being very aggressive, but no one expected just how dangerous she would become. At just 12 years old, Sharon Carr committed a gruesome crime that made her the youngest female murderer in Britain. On June 7, 1992, 18-year-old Katie Ratcliffe was walking home after a night out in Farnborough, Hampshire, but she never made it home. Her body was found the next day. She had been stabbed more than 30 times in a random, brutal attack. At the time, police had no idea who did it. Sharon wasn't even a suspect. She was just a child. But a year later, she was arrested for attacking a classmate with a knife at school. And while being held at a youth facility, Sharon started writing disturbing diary entries. In them, she described killing Katie in graphic detail, even mentioning things that had never been made public. That's when police realized they had found the killer. In 1997, Sharon Carr went on trial for Katie Ratcliffe's murder. She was just 17 years old at the time of her conviction. The court heard how Sharon had shown no remorse and even seemed proud of what she had done. Eventually, she was sentenced to life in prison for murder. Over the years, Sharon's behavior in prison has remained violent and unpredictable. She's attacked both inmates and staff and has been moved to different high-security hospitals and prisons. As of now, she's described as one of the most dangerous female prisoners in the UK. In recent years, she's applied for parole but has been denied due to ongoing concerns about her mental health and violent behavior. As we speak, she's still being held in secure facilities and remains a danger to the public. Donna Joan. Borup. If you've ever heard of Donna Joan Borup, it's because she is a fugitive wanted by the FBI for a crime that happened more than 40 years ago. She was born in South Amboy, New Jersey. Though her actual birth date is unclear, different records list her birth date as either August 5th, 1952 or April 10th, 1950. Borup is wanted in connection with riot, assault on a police officer, and fleeing to avoid prosecution. And right now, the FBI is offering a reward of up to $100,000 for any information that helps bring her to justice. She also has known connections in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, North Carolina, and even Canada. On September 26, 1981, Borup was part of a violent anti-apartheid protest at JFK International Airport in Queens, New York. Before authorities could control the situation, the demonstration turned dangerous, and Borup allegedly threw a corrosive chemical substance directly into the eyes of a Port Authority police officer. The attack was so severe that it left the officer partially blind. She was arrested shortly after, but she was released while waiting for trial. However, instead of facing justice, Borup fled. On May 20th, 1982, when she failed to appear in court, a warrant was issued for her arrest. That same year, she was formally charged with riot in the first degree and assault in the first degree. A federal arrest warrant was later issued in the Eastern District of New York, making her one of the longest-running fugitives on the FBI's wanted list. Authorities believe Borup is armed and dangerous, and over the years she has gone by several fake names, including Rebecca Ann Morgan and Donna Otopchuk. Despite decades on the run, the FBI has not given up the search. They continue to urge the public to come forward with any information that could lead to her capture and prosecution. Erin Caffey. Erin Caffey was born in Texas in 1991. She grew up in a small town called Alba with her parents, Terry and Penny Caffey, and two younger brothers. By all accounts, Erin came from a loving religious family. Her father was a church minister and they were known for having strong Christian values. But everything changed when Erin started dating a 19-year-old Charlie Wilkinson. She was only 16 at the time and her parents didn't approve of the relationship. They thought Charlie was too old for her and were worried about his influence. Eventually, her parents told her to stop seeing him, and that's when things changed for the worse. What did you think was going to happen? That they weren't going to do it? You thought they would chicken out or something at the end? On the night of March 1st, 2008, Erin helped plan an attack on her own family. Charlie Wilkinson, his friend Charles Wade, and WDE's girlfriend Bobby Johnson carried out the crime. Charlie and Charles entered the cafe home while the family was sleeping. They shot Erin's mother and two younger brothers, ages 8 and 13. Then, they set the house on fire.
I probably added fuel to the fire.
You wanted them dead.
Erin's father, Terry, was shot multiple times, but miraculously survived. Erin didn't physically take part in the murders, but she was waiting in the car during the killings and had helped plan everything. According to police, she wanted her parents dead because they had come between her and her boyfriend. After the attack, police quickly tracked down the group, but after just 2 days, the disturbing truth had emerged. The police went to the hospital to break the news to Terry that his daughter was involved. During questioning, Charlie confessed and told investigators that Erin had been part of the plan, after which she was arrested and charged with 3 counts of capital murder. Because she was only 16, Erin couldn't face the death penalty. In 2009, she pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 2 life sentences plus 25 years with the possibility of parole after 40 years. Alam Ahmed.
ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. بداية من لا يشكر الناس لا يشكر الله. أبدأ بشكر ائتلاف مغاربة الانتفاضة الفلسطينية.
At the very top of this list is Alam Ahmed Alamimi, who isn't just a wanted criminal, but a dangerous terrorist and a threat to society. She was involved in a deadly suicide bombing that took place on August 9, 2001 at a busy Sparrow Pizza restaurant in Jerusalem. The attack killed 15 innocent people, including 2 American citizens, and injured more than 100 others. According to investigators, Alamimi helped plan the attack, chose the location, and even escorted the suicide bomber to the restaurant, knowing exactly what was about to happen. She was arrested, convicted, and sentenced to prison in Israel for her role in the bombing. But in 2011, she was released early as part of a controversial prisoner swap deal. Over 1,000 Palestinian prisoners were exchanged for one captured Israeli soldier, and Al-Amimi was one of those freed. Since then, she has become a fugitive, and the United States is actively trying to bring her to justice. The U.S. Department of Justice has charged her with conspiring to use and using a weapon of mass destruction that resulted in the death of American citizens outside the U.S. She also faces charges for aiding and abetting terrorism.
I say to Israel, suffer in silence, and in spite of them, we were set free. I thank God that I'm with my family. My feelings can't be translated. All the dictionaries in the world can't translate my feelings.
The U.S. government is currently offering a reward of up to $5 million for any information that leads to her arrest or conviction. Authorities say Al-Amimi uses multiple fake names, up to 13 different aliases, and she speaks both Arabic and English. A sealed criminal complaint and arrest warrant were issued for her back in July 2013, and she became the first known member of the Arab League to be charged in a U.S. court for an act of Islamic terrorism. An Interpol arrest warrant was also issued for her, but in 2021 it was unexpectedly dropped. Today, Al-Amimi is believed to be living in Jordan, where she has avoided extradition despite U.S. efforts. Her case continues to frustrate the families of the victims, and the search for her remains one of the highest priorities for U.S. counterterrorism officials. If you think these stories are wild, just wait till you see what we have for you next. Hit that like button, subscribe for more jaw-dropping stories.